Well, another Tuesday Wrestling has just happened with AEW Dark and Impact Wrestling. So we're going to review both shows today on this episode of Deleted WrestleZone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted WrestleZone, all things pro wrestling from AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, all promotions, wrestlers, championships, and matches, the whole enchiladas. I'm your host, J-Rod here. So before I start reviewing both AEW Dark and Impact Wrestling, guys, I want to give you guys some news that came in yesterday and today. Well, today is Wednesday, which is supposed to be AEW Dynamite, and NXT. So let's get started. What I'm going to reveal is, if you guys already heard already, WWE superstar Sasha Banks is going to be appearing on the second season of The Mandalorian. Now, if you guys are not fans of The Mandalorian, you better watch it because it's a pretty good show. I did not expected this, but I have to say this is going to be an interesting season to see what role Sasha Banks is going to play. Now, it's still unclear what her role is in The Mandalorian. We don't know yet because they haven't disclosed if she's going to play a hunter or bounty hunter or someone from the what's remain of the Empire, whatever. But that doesn't matter because I'm excited. If you guys are tuning in to watch the second season of The Mandalorian, it's going to begin next month. I hope you guys get to watch it. Now, the second news, as you know, a while back I reviewed Talkin' Shop Mania, which is a wrestling parody show, whatever you call it, that was created by the Good Brothers, Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson. It's been announced that a part 2, it's gonna happen. It's already been revealed. It's gonna come out in November. So basically, it's gonna left off when Sex Ferguson was beaten by Chad Too Bad during a match being buried alive. So it's gonna be the match. It's gonna be a balls versus balls match or whatever. This is an interesting. So if you guys haven't seen the Talkin' Shop Mania, you can still check it out on Fight TV. I think it might have been $14.99, which is $15 on Fight TV. So if you guys haven't seen it yet, you should download the app. It's Fight TV. It's FITE TV. So I probably spell it out right now for all of you guys, so you guys get the clear picture. If you guys haven't seen the Fight TV app yet, before I move on, I'm gonna explain to you guys what this Fight TV is. It shows like many type of sports, basically. Not only pro wrestling, they even showed promotions such as GCW, even Impact Wrestling, Ring of Honor. Unless if you guys don't have the Honor Club thing, what else they have? They have plenty of promotions they throw in, including New Japan too. Unless if you guys don't have the New Japan, the NJPW World Live on Demand, that type of thing. If you guys don't have that, so that's pretty much it. They even show MMA and possibly boxing. If you guys are interested in having this app, all you gotta do is create an account. You can use your Facebook account if you wanted to, but for me, I started my own account. I watch many of their shows, including wrestling, such as the Warriors Wrestling, GCW, including when NWA had their first pay-per-views, such as Hard Times and Fight Into the Fire, those types. So Talkin' Shop Mania will be on that, so if you guys keep an eye on that out. So I think that's about it where I'm about. Oh, one more thing. If you guys are still keeping tabs, what's going on with New Japan, you should know we're not that far off for this week to start. Maybe, I think it's this week or next week, I'm not sure, with the New Japan Pro Wrestling's G1 Climax 30. So I will do segments of certain days. Let's say 2 or 3 days of the G1. I'll review those 3 days, who advances. No, make it 2 days, because basically it's gonna be one day A block will be go, the second. So I'm gonna be alternating with that. That way you guys can keep track of it. So I'll be doing that as soon when the G1 starts. I'll be doing it separately away on itself. That way it won't conflict with the Wednesday Night War or Impact or any other wrestling show that I follow. You know, that way you guys get a clear eye view what's going on. So right now, let's get started with AEW Dark. Alright, so right now with AEW Dark, it had a great matches they had. Some matches were really good that I enjoyed. Let's start from start to finish on this one. So the first match was Red Velvet versus Brandy Rhodes. Now, we haven't seen her done any single competitions for quite some time. As you know, she did participate in the first ever women's tag team tournament, tag team cup, along with Allie. And even though they were in the finals, they lost. And they're putting the story where she has a problem with Anna Jay, who viciously choked her when the Dark Order took out her husband Cody after the leader of the Dark Order, or the Exalted One, Mr. Brodie Lee, took out Cody. She tried to protect her husband, but Mr. Brodie Lee gave Anna Jay the order to take her out. So basically, this is becoming a feud. And this match was okay. I'm not going to say I give it about a 7 out of 10. But the best part of this match is when Anna Jay comes out, you know, trying to get into the head of Brandy Rhodes. As you know, Anna Jay is calling herself now the Queen Slayer, because Brandy Rhodes is the Queen. And this is going to be an interesting feud. But there was a moment before the match ended. Brandy Rhodes put Red Velvet in a chokehold, the same chokehold that Anna Jay put her in weeks ago. So Anna Jay was not impressed with what she did, but it gave Brandy Rhodes the victory. So basically, we may see this feud come about soon. This is going to be interesting to watch. So Brandy Rhodes won the match. Second match, we have a tag team. We have the debut of these two guys I never heard of, but we like to call them jobbers. We have Daniel Garcia and Kevin Blackwood facing off the Butcher and the Blade, along with Eddie Kingston on their corner. This was a good match. I liked it. But they did show a bit of Garcia and Blackwood tried throwing a bit of the offense, but they're no match against guys like Butcher and the Blade. As always, they always win in their matches. So Butcher and the Blade picked up the victory, and they won on this one. Next match, we had a women's match. We have the Mean Girl herself, Danny Jordan, facing off against super bad girl Penelope Ford, alongside with her fiance Kip Sabian. As you all know about Danny Jordan, if you guys are not familiarized with her, Danny Jordan has a notebook where it has like the burn book. Basically, she burns people, basically saying mean things about them. And of course, the real question was, did Danny Jordan have said something bad about Penelope Ford? The answer to that question, yes. Penelope Ford saw that. She even ripped off the page, tried to shove it in her mouth. Not to mention, Penelope Ford tried to take out Danny Jordan with her notebook, but apparently referee Aubrey Edwards saw that. She took it out of her hands, but even though it was removed, Penelope Ford picked up the victory on this one. So basically, the Mean Girl didn't get her way on this one. Next match, we have a very unusual character named Megabyte Ronnie. Turns out the guy, he actually is an expert in eating food. I don't know where you get these guys, but it's kind of funny. Against the Machine, Brian Cage. This was a good match. I'll give it a 9 out of 10 in my personal preview, because basically you never seen a guy like him, because Megabyte Ronnie, all he does, he has this interesting fanny pack that he had, but what he had in there was food. He had a hot dog. He tried to do like a similarity with the People's elbow, like what The Rock does. You know, you've seen the people's elbow, but once he does the elbow, he puts the hot dog in his mouth to take a bite, and bam. So I don't know where you get these guys, but it was kind of interesting. But fortunately, it wasn't enough. The Machine Brian Cage picked up the victory as always. Next match, we have a tag team match. We had Griff Garrison teaming up once again with Brian Pillman Jr. They're taking on against Inner Circle members Santana and Ortiz. This was a pretty good match. I give it another 9 out of 10. Reason I say that is because both Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman Jr. have been working cohesively as a unit quite some time. Some of you fans probably asked, wait a minute, is Brian Pillman currently with MLW? Well, to be truth is they gave him his blessing since MLW hasn't returned doing any shows since the start of pandemic. What apparently we may see MLW return. There have been talk that they might have events with no fans, which is something we've been seeing as of late with many promotions. We've seen that already with AEW. We've seen that already with WWE, Impact Wrestling. So far, MLW and NWA are two of the promotions that I follow as well, but they haven't returned. Still no word with NWA when Power will come back. We do know that they're aligning themselves with Prime Time, which is David Marquez's company. But yeah. But this match was good between Brian Pillman and Griff Garrison versus Santana Ortiz. As you know, Santana Ortiz are facing the Best Friends at the parking lot brawl or something, whatever. But this match was alright. I give it a 9 out of 10. But Santana Ortiz picked up the victory on this one, so that's how it ends. The next match we have is Jesse Sorensen versus Will Hobbs. Now, if you guys haven't been following Will Hobbs yet late, he has impressed everyone since the last pay-per-view at All Out. Now, you wouldn't expect. Will Hobbs has served as a jobber since the time of this pandemic happening during AEW Dynamite. He has lost various people. But since All Out, he has shown a different side that we never seen. But this match was good. I hope that AEW signs him to good, a lucrative contract, because I think we need guys like him, because we have big guys like Brian Cage, Lance Archer, The Butcher, Miro, Jake Hager. I think that's about it. But we need guys like Will Hobbs to make that those big guys' personas come out. I think he'll be a great addition to be in AEW. But Will Hobbs impressed us. He picked up the victory against Jesse Sorensen, so I'm impressed with him. Next match is a women's tag team match. We have Rache Chanel teaming with Skylar Moore, facing off against the winners of the Women's Tag Team Cup, Diamante and Ivelisse. Now, this was a good match. Right now, of late, I have been very compassionate about the women's in wrestling. I might do something cool with it, but we'll go now. But this match was great. I enjoyed how this match was going between both teams, but mostly it's been dominant between Ivelisse and Diamante, and it was a great match. They're great offensive. They both have a decade of experience. So Diamante and Ivelisse picked up the victory on this one. Next match we have is Colt Cabana versus QT Marshall. Now, this match was more of a redemption for Colt Cabana after screwing up at All Out in that 8-man tag team, teaming with the Exalted One, Mr. Brody Lee, along with Stu Grayson and Evil Uno. Basically, he's facing off against a member of the Nightmare Family, one of Cody's friends, QT Marshall, alongside with Ali. But much of the match seems like QT was on the horizons, but Evil Uno and Stu Grayson got in the way to ensure Colt Cabana wins. So basically, Colt is still blind not to see what these guys have done. You see, in the story, if you guys follow with Colt, he's unaware about the activities, what Dark Order has done. He doesn't realize these guys are not their friends. They only picked him because they saw him, he's a loser. Colt Cabana has, in the early time of AEW, he has been on a losing streak, and he's been frustrated, but Brody Lee extended his hand. So he's still unaware what happened, but it did allow Colt Cabana the win, which is something that Brody Lee is mostly looking for, is results. So Colt won, but this feud between the Nightmare Family and the Dark Order is far from over. Next match, we have Peter Avalon along with Leva Bates versus his former tag team partner of the Initiative, Brandon Cutler. This match was amazing. Even the Young Bucks were right there on ringside watching. Now, I wasn't sure. Now, if you guys don't know about each of these guys, Brandon Cutler had 0 wins, but 25 losses. Brandon Cutler has 27 losses, 0 wins. So basically, they're both equal, almost equalized with each other. Even though they've been desperately trying to pick up a victory as both singles competitors and tag team competitors. So far, nothing. So, but the match ended kind of bizarre and a double count out. I don't think neither of them expected that. They were getting in each other's nerves. So basically, it's a pretty good story. You got two guys who cannot even pick up a victory as both singles competitors and tag team competitors. What the hell? It was kind of crazy. But yeah, that's how it ended, with a double countout. Next match, we have another tag team. We have the debut of Max Stardom and Dante Smile. Now, if you guys are not familiarized with Max Stardom, he actually made appearances at MLW under a different name. I think it was Ricky Martinez. Yeah, he aligned himself with Selena Vega, but we haven't seen him since, even before the pandemic. But it was great seeing. They were facing off against the Best Friends. Now, the Best Friends in this particular match have become more aggressive because they're getting ready to face off against Santana Ortiz in the parking lot brawl, which is, their feud has escalated even further. So, but it was a good match. I give it a 10 out of 10 because it showed more of the Best Friends, who are number 2 in the rankings in the tag team ranking, whatever, you know. But yeah. But I love the part where Chuck T did like a pile driver and he did pass it on to Trent, and he picked up the victory with the pile driver too. So they won the match. So this feud between both Santana Ortiz and the Best Friends is going to be on fire. So hope you guys are watching that. Now, the main event for AEW Dark was the Dark Order members, Evil Uno, Stu Grayson, as the Square Circle Psycho Babble called Thing 1 and Thing 2. We're talking about Alex Reynolds, John Silver 3, and Alex Reynolds 4, facing off against the Gun Club, consistent of Billy Gunn and his son Austin, along with their other son, who I forgot his name, being partnered up against Private Party. Now, this was a particular match where you get to see more about the Dark Order. As you know, the Dark Order, from the very beginning, they weren't being taken serious by fans, but now they are, since Mr. Brody Lee has made his appearance. And even though they're getting more recognizable airtime at Being the Elite, if you guys don't follow it, you know, all this and that. I'm going to pause the match here for a little bit. If you guys saw the recent Being the Elite, they tried to set up Stu Grayson, saying that Brody Lee sucks. And of course, when Mr. Brody Lee saw the paintbrush on Stu Grayson, he thought it was him. But later he saw the name Stu. But the way it was spelled is what got him off, going, the name that was spelled was Stooo. So when Brody saw this, he's like, Stu. Mr. Grayson. Yep. How in the F do you spell your name? S-T-U. Oh, so it's not S-T-O-O-O? No. Okay, so he's exonerated. So basically, he was set up, but Mr. Brody realized someone did not spell his name right, and that person was John Silver and Alex Reynolds. So they tried to set him up, but they screwed up badly. But this match was particularly great to see because you get to see more of the Dark Order becoming the dominant faction. Now, if you all recall, the Inner Circle was the dominant faction, but now it appears Dark Order are stepping up the game to become the stable faction that is going to dominate AEW. So, but I was surprised how this match ended. Now, I kind of assumed somehow that the Gun Club and Private Party were going to win. But no, it did not end up that way. Ended with the Dark Order, where Stu Grayson and Evil Uno put Austin Gunn into their finisher Fatality and ended that way with the Dark Order with the victory. So basically, the Dark Order won the match. It gave them perfection. I hope that this would impress Mr. Brody Lee because he's not easily to be impressed. But that's how it goes. So right now, I hope you guys enjoyed AEW for me reviewing AEW Dark. So right now, let's move on with Impact Wrestling. Welcome back, wrestling fans. So right now we're about to do Impact Wrestling. So let's get started with the first match. This one was a Knockouts tag team match. First team was Kimber Lee teaming up with the virtuosa Deonna Purrazzo. As you know, Deonna Purrazzo will face the #1 contender for the title, Kylie Rae. So Kylie Rae will be teamed up with Susie. Now this match was kind of interesting. As you know, we have seen Deonna Purrazzo being one of the best technical wrestlers right now, but one thing that I did like in this match, the way it ended, Susie somehow, yet again, did the signature move that was done by her alter ego, or should I say, the undead bride of her, Su Yung. As soon as she pulled the finisher move on Kimber Lee, she's just snapped, but Kylie Rae brought her back into reality, making sure she's okay. So basically, we don't know if Su Yung is gonna be coming back. And if I was Kimber Lee and Deonna Purrazzo, I wouldn't be around her when that happens. But Kylie Rae and Susie picked up the victory, but it's gonna be interesting. But I hope we get to see Deonna Purrazzo versus Kylie Rae at Bound for Glory coming up soon. They haven't said yet, but I'm looking forward to it. Next thing we see. Now, as you all know, that Rohit Raju has been trying to find a way to dodge potential competitors who could be facing off. As you know, the previous X Division champion, Chris Bay, he still has a rematch. TJP wants a piece of that title. And of course, now, the next person was Trey. So basically, he kind of convinced him he has to go through TJP. Rohit Raju is being a sneaky guy. I don't think he knows any idea. But if I was Impact Wrestling Management, I try to settle this once and for all to ensure Rohit Raju does not try to run away like a coward. You know, that's the way I would see it. Next thing we see is Johnny E. Bravo. Now, as you all know, ever since he announced his engagement to Rosemary, Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz has been getting on his face, claims that they are the best men in his wedding. Except they're not. They've been trying to weasel their way in. But the best part is, who is going to be the best man? So, the first person he picked was the person that came out of the door. And that person was Fallah Bahh. So, yeah, Fallah Bahh, and if you guys haven't seen it, he is the best man. And, of course, he's happy. You know, I thought it was the greatest scene ever. I loved it, you know, but it was great. I loved it. Next match we have. This one was a very interesting match. Now, if you guys has been following the last couple of weeks with Wrestle House, there has been intentions between both tag teams, between Triple XL and the Deaners. As you know, the last few weeks, a couple weeks ago, someone stole the Deaners beer, and they accused Triple XL, but it was revealed it was Crazy Steve, but they decided to continue the rivalry. Now, this was a great match to see the Deaners and Triple XL facing off. As you guys know, AC Romero from Triple XL has lost 100 pounds. I mean, for a guy his weight, I'm impressed. You know, the guy is good. But the match was amazing. I give it a 9.5 out of 10 on this one. I love how this match between Triple XL and the Deaners went. I can't wait to see more Triple XL, what they can do. But they picked up the victory on this one. Next thing we have is Trey Miguel and TJP. As you all know, this is supposed to be more like the #1 contender who is supposed to face Rohit Raju for the X Division Championship. But this match was awesome. I mean, I'm a fan of both of these guys, between Trey Miguel and TJP. So great high-flying offense on both guys. But of course, the old saying goes, there has to be one winner. And that winner turned out to be Trey Miguel. So the real question is Rohit Raju gonna face Chris Bay, TJP, or Trey Miguel? That is the real question, but we'll see what happens. Now, the next thing we see, the cameras jump into the back area. Something is happening. We see the North, Ethan Page and Josh Alexander, along with Ace Austin and Madman Fulton, taking out the Rascals, Wentz and Dez. Reason is that the Rascals were set to team up with the current Impact Wrestling Tag Team Champions, the Motor City Machine Guns, and basically they took them out of nowhere, and thinking that the Motor Machine Guns were going to face them in a handicap match. Now, the Motor City Machine Guns has been trying to convince doctors that they have to wrestle because they need them. But out of nowhere, when that happened, the Good Brothers showed up. Yeah, the Good Brothers. They volunteered. Even though the Motor City Machine Guns were like, nah, I don't think so. I mean, look, we all know what happened back in Slammiversary. The Good Brothers picked a fight with Austin and Fulton, and they beat them at Emergence. So why not? So they volunteered themselves to team up with the Motor City Machine Guns. So that becomes the main event of the night. Now, the next thing we have is Rich Swann. Now, as you all know what happened with Rich Swann back in Slammiversary, he got viciously attacked by Eric Young when he eliminated him out of the 5-way elimination match for the Impact World Championship. Apparently, he injured himself again badly, and he was forced to retire. And then again, Eric Young attacked him viciously. But a week ago, when Tommy Dreamer was in a match, all of a sudden, Eric Young was about to take him out. Here comes Rich Swann, even in his cast. He saved Tommy Dreamer regardless. Now, the real question is, why is he back? So he called out Impact Wrestling's Executive Vice President, Scott D'Amore, who's been well known and established with Impact before it was known as TNA, to talk to him, saying that he wants a match against Eric Young at Bound for Glory. So D'Amore was like a bit more spectacle about it, thinking you're out of your mind, you're going to injure yourself more. But Rich Swann gave him his words about he knows he's hurt, he knows what happened, but he felt he needs it, that he has nothing left. So he gave him this great speech, but all of a sudden, here comes Eric Young, who is turning Impact Wrestling into an asylum, saying it's his world, his way, no other way. If you don't agree with it, then you're out. My way. That's how he sees it. So he tries to stop him. Rich Swann hold his own, managed to stop him, even though Eric Young shoved D'Amore out of the way to get his hands on Swann. But of course, D'Amore made it perfectly clear. He was touched by Rich Swann's words, what he said to him. So he made his decision. He's going to set up for Bound for Glory, Eric Young versus Rich Swann for the Impact World title. This is a perfect opportunity for Rich Swann to obtain a title of that magnitude. But of course, he told him, you got 1 month to get ready. So basically, Rich Swann has an intense rehab to do this. So I'm excited to see it. But Eric Young was not happy with what D'Amore think. He keeps saying it's his world, his way. So apparently, it's not going to happen. Not your way, Eric Young. You're out of your mind, you lunatic. Now, next thing we have is Rosemary and Taya talking. As you know, Taya is mad that Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz were getting up in her business. Rosemary was nowhere to be found last week, but she had to take on Tasha Steelz, and she took her out. So she asked Rosemary that she needs her by her side. And as you know, Johnny E. Bravo is working on the wedding plans and this and that. But Rosemary had other engagements, and we'll get to that. But that's what happened. Now, the next match we have is the part 3 between both Brian Myers and Willie Mack. Now, as you all know, Brian Myers has been running his mouth, claiming he is the most professional wrestler in the business. You've been cheating, Brian Myers. That's not professional. When he beat him the first time, he asked for to shake his hand, but Willie Mack's not having it because he knows you're not professional. You keep saying it, but you cheated your way through. So they set up for a third match. This was awesome. Now, Willie Mack was able to hold his own, but Brian Myers was in shock when he couldn't put him down. But finally, Willie Mack actually took him out with the stunner, and he beat him with this. Now, I don't know if the feud between Myers and Willie Mack is continued because Brian Myers is not going to take this loss very likely. So basically, Willie Mack won the match. But the real question, if you guys don't know, what does he think about Rich Swann coming back to get his hands on Eric Young and might get an opportunity to become Impact World Champion? We don't know. I'm still waiting on that too. Now, as you all know, Rosemary has been preparing everything for her wedding for Johnny E. Bravo, but there's a little problem she has to solve, but she had to talk to someone about this. She went to talk to Havoc. Now, the only way this wedding is going to go forward for her, if you guys follow the story with Rosemary and Havoc, apparently they have to bring back someone back from the dead. And that person, if you guys know who he is, and those who don't, that person is Father James Mitchell. Yeah. I like to call him the son of Satan. But yeah. But Havoc is not having it. She does not want to resurrect this monster. But Rosemary insisted on it. And Havoc just took her out in the backstage badly. So, that's how it is with that. So, I don't know what you guys would think, but I thought it was interesting. Saying, we need a Father Havoc for my wedding. But yeah. Now, next segment we see. Moose is going ballistic. He cannot find EC3, who has the TNA World title in his possession. As you know, ever since EC3 took the TNA World title, he's been asking people, have you seen EC3? Have you seen my title? No one cares about your TNA World title. Who cares? No one cares about that title. But Moose acts like they should care. He's like saying, call the police. We got a hostage situation. I thought it was so funny. But EC3 has been playing mind games. He even asked for Scott D'Amore's help. But D'Amore's like, I'm not going to waste my time finding a title that doesn't mean anything. EC3 is in your head. But again, he had an idea. He called the Demo God. If you guys know who he is, then I'm going to say it right there. It's Chris Jericho. If you all recall, a while back, when Chris Jericho won the AEW title, his title was stolen. So he asked him for advice. So that's what happened. So he took his advice, and blammo. He got the idea. So I thought it was a funny segment, how it's going to be. Next thing we see, Rhino sneaks in Heath because they need money for Heath's ads, the promo, because he's begging Impact to hire Heath, and I thought it was a pretty sick thing what they're gonna do. Then we see Tennille Dashwood doing a photo shoot. As you know, Jordynne Grace has been very adamant about Tennille Dashwood. Like, she shows up out of nowhere about 2 weeks ago. No one's seen her in months, and she's asking her, why you're here? Why are you all of a sudden showing up? But saying, when are you coming back to work as a wrestler, not as a model? But she said next week. Well, we'll see about that. I think this is going to be one of those storylines where Jordynne Grace is getting intimidated, is getting agitated with Tennille Dashwood because she's not doing what she's supposed to be doing. Not happy for her return, acting like she thinks that she gets an opportunity, this and that, We'll see. Next thing we have is Kara Hogan, along with Tasha Steele's Faces, Tail Valkyrie out. Basically, Rosemary was not there. She was still knocked out thanks to Havoc. And Johnny Bravo, still planning the wedding. So Tail was on her own. But it kind of made everything easy for both Kara Hogan and Tasha Steele, with them try to break Taya, but Kara Hogan picked up the victory on this one. So next week it's gonna be very interesting to see how Taya's gonna react in front of both Bravo and Rosemary for her loss in this particular match. Now, as you know, Hernandez has been recently doing arm wrestling match. So he's teamed up. So he arm wrestled Rhino. But unaware, Rhino has been coming up with a plan to steal Hernandez's money. They need hard cash to do the campaigns for Heath. So while he was distracting Hernandez, Heath stole the money. I don't think Hernandez had any clue what happened. But it was funny, So I was so happy to see this. Now, the next thing we see is Chris Bay confront Rohit Raju. As you all know, Chris Bay has an opportunity for a rematch for the X Division Championship. But however, Rohit Raju doesn't know what the hell he's doing. He put himself in a bad position. You have 3 guys that want a piece of you. Impact Wrestling Management put Rohit Raju in a fatal 4-way. That makes things easier. But no, Rohit Raju decided he's going to have all 3 of them. He's going to have Chris Bay versus Trey Miguel versus TJP. Winner gets a title opportunity. I have a feeling this is going to end up badly. Now, it's main event time. We have the North teaming up with Ace Austin and Madman Fulton versus the Good Brothers and the Motor City Machine Guns. So, this was a good match. I loved it. I give it a 10 out of 10 on this one. Great spots. I enjoyed every moment of it. But however, there is the moments we want to see Fulton versus getting the face of Doc Gallows. 2 huge dudes. That's something we got to see. But the way this match ended, there's always egos among certain teams. Especially if it's guys like the North and Ace Austin and Fulton. What happened is the North had Alex, I don't remember who had, I don't remember which machine gun, I think it's Alex Shelley. But all of a sudden, Ace Austin tagged Ethan Page. Ethan was like, what the? He doesn't know what to make of it. Now, as you all know, Ace Austin, he's a very open-minded opportunist to pick up the victory as soon as possible. Now, the Good Brothers and the Machine Guns are like, okay, we lost. But however, they're witnessing egos coming into play. Now, if I was Ethan Page and Josh Alexander, if I saw what I saw, I wouldn't appreciate that. They had everything under control, but Ace Austin's only in it for himself. Even if he has the monster Madman Fulton by his side. But we'll see how that goes for the upcoming Impact. Now, hope you guys enjoyed this episode of me reviewing both AEW Dark and Impact Wrestling. So I will be doing soon, the next day, the Wednesday Night War between AEW and NXT. We'll see how that goes. We'll see what the results come in for this one. But for now, I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.